So you probably know this already, but Donald Trump got convicted of 34, 34 counts of felonies. Oh, there he is, buddy. There's Joe. 34 counts of whatever this gong show of a trial was. So he's reacted to it. Let's see what he has to say. This is The Guardian. I don't mind The Guardian. They're kind of okay as far as they seem to be a little left leaning, but they're not bad. I don't know. So I'm kind of on the middle with these guys. They tend to be relatively fair. So let's see what they have to say here. So Trump calls on Supreme Court to annul his guilty verdict in hush money case. Donald Trump has called on the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and annul his guilty verdict in a hush money trial that left him with the unwanted distinction of being the first former U.S. president to be a convicted felon. I love how they put it that way. It's like the felonies are like they're so small. Stupid, realistically. The 2024 presumptive Republican nominee made his plea in a typical florid post on his Truth Social site, highlighting that a sentencing hearing sentenced for the 11th of July falls just 4 days before the GOP's national convention in Milwaukee, when his nomination is expected to become official. The sentencing for not having done anything wrong will be, conveniently for the fascists, 4 days before the Republican National Convention, Trump wrote. A radical left Soros-backed DA who ran on a platform of I will get Trump, reporting to an acting local judge appointed by the Democrats, who is highly conflicted, will make a decision which will determine the future of our nation. The future of our nation? A jury in Manhattan found the ex-president guilty last Thursday on all 34 counts of falsifying documents to conceal a sexual liaison with an adult film actor, Stormy Daniels, in the run-up to the 2016 presidential election, which Trump won over Hillary Clinton. The verdict, which Trump has pledged to appeal, raised the atmosphere in this year's presidential campaign to fever pitch more than 5 months before polling day, with Republicans circling the wagons while Democrats sought ways to exploit it. In a worrying sign for Trump, a new ABC Ipsos poll, this ought to be garbage, but showed 50% of voters thought the verdict was correct. Okay. 50% of pollsters that would poll in an ABC poll, that doesn't help your case there. Excuse me. Nearly double the proportion, 27% who believed it was wrong. Nearly half of those polled, 49%, thought he should end his campaign, a step he is highly unlikely to take. Of course he's not. He's not going to end his campaign. So get that right out of the ether there. It's not going to happen. The figures were even starker among double haters, voters who equally dislike Trump and President Joe Biden, 65% of whom supported the verdict, with 2/3 saying the former president should end his campaign. Pollsters predict the cohort could be a critical component of the swing voter constituency they believe will determine the outcome in November. By appealing to the Supreme Court to intervene in a case he insists is nakedly political, Trump is reprising the legal strategy deployed in his defense against special counsel Jack Smith's charges relating to the 6th of January 2021 mob attack on the U.S. Capitol in a bid to overturn the 2020 presidential election result in his favor. That statement right there is just hilarious, the way that that's written. But I shouldn't have to read that again. That's just a bunch of horseshit. But okay. The case is currently on hold while the 9 justices consider claims by Trump's lawyers that he had complete immunity from prosecution for decisions taken while he was president. But his invocation of the court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority over Trump's judicial appointments while he was in the White House, also comes as question over his political impartiality, are at a peak following revelations that a U.S. flag was flown upside down at the home of Justice Samuel Alito at the time of the January 6th riot. The gesture is identical to that used by many participants in the attack as a symbol of protest against Biden's victory. So I love how they put that in there, but that's the thing that they're putting in there. They're not putting anything else to do with the other side. That's where I'm saying the Guardian's a little bit, they're obviously skewed left. In an interview with Fox, Trump affected to be unfazed by the possibility that he could be sentenced to jail by Judge Juan Merchan at his 11th of July hearing, saying it could happen and that he would be okay with a custodial sentence or home confinement. Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan district attorney who prosecuted Trump's case, has reportedly yet to decide whether to request a prison term or leave the decision to Merchan's discretion. Yeah, okay. So that's about enough of that. So yeah, it's he's got a clean record. So obviously, the idea that he would go to jail, he's a former president. The idea that he go to jail for these, quote unquote, trumped up charges is pretty ridiculous. So I don't think that's going to happen. Even as much as they'll try and push, at best they might do some kind of parade where they put him in jail for 30 days or something like that, just for show, for the theater that this whole thing is. But I don't see it really affecting anything at this point. I think it's actually affected the Democrats in the negative. I think this isn't going to go the way they wanted it to go. But they were already in, you know what I mean, in for a penny and for a pound at this point. So they got to kind of see this thing through. But we'll see how this goes, I guess. We'll see what happens in July. But I don't see anything happening as far as a prison sentence. So let me know what you think in the comments, though.